What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards. Side Profile. This is the soccer comic rant, and this is going to be our last episode before, towards the end of the transfer window. So we're going to talk about Champions League. Man City, congratulations. You completed the treble. Who cares? Good. You got one, You got one. I'm not even affected. Watch the game. We're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about Messi in the MLS, how all the tickets for all the games versus Inter Miami have already sold out across the league. And so he's having a Messi effect on us already. And, we'll talk about any transfers that we heard about so far and, just commiserate about our seasons and stuff. And we got some of the usual suspects. We got Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton relegation fan.
Thanks for reminding me.
Hey, man. You were more convinced about that way before I was, so. Hey,
yeah, I was in acceptance of that early on. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. To be fair, we do have a grounded set of, I feel like, fans like we are, compared to other fans. Only Martin probably not, which is fine to have somebody on that level. But Neil, Chakravarty, stand-up comic, Chelsea fans, pretty grounded, too grounded sometimes, super grounded. And so we saw the Champions League match, and I'll just say a few things about it. And I do want to ask Neil something, because last podcast, he reminded me of something. Now, Pep changed his lineup, surprised people with his lineup in this game, right?
Yeah.
And he did that the last time. But the last time, so, I'm always getting on reporters because they're lazy and they're always attacking, coaches, and they're always attacking footballers. And I heard a lot of stuff the only way Man City could mess this up is if Pep messes it up by making too many changes. But Pep makes changes all the time. That's his thing. That's what he does. It doesn't matter what game it is. He has to be himself. As a stand-up, sometimes I'll do a showcase for something very important, and I know I sometimes need to start out with a brand new joke just to feel loose for the rest of the set. That's just a part of the risk that helps me loosen up to have a completely good set. You just have to do that sometimes. And so when Pep lost the last Champions League final, it's because they say he changed stuff up, he tinkered a bit. But Neil also reminded me that Pep lost to Chelsea several times that year. So going out, setting his team up in a normal way didn't work before. So why would it work in the final? And why does Pep get the blame for that? Also, everybody ignores the fact that De Bruyne got injured. At what point in that game versus you, Neil?
I think it was the 60th minute or something like that.
Significant amount of time left on the clock. And it's but nobody ever brings that up. They just say Pep started that out wrong, which he makes adjustments along the way anyway. So it's not like they didn't. When did you guys score that goal? Because I'm sure you have it tattooed somewhere.
That's actually interesting.
Just look on your wrist.
No, the thing is
you put it on your back. Where did you put it? It's on your neck.
No, the thing is this season has been 1 decade long, so it feels like a very long time ago. We scored before
you won recently, bro. The Champions League. I know you can't believe it's the same team, but you have.
We scored just before the first half. We scored just before the halftime. So, and I want to say De Bruyne got injured on the 70th minute, 60th minute or something. But yeah, I could be. I got to go look that up. But I think people don't talk about De Bruyne's injury a lot because he was pretty useless even before the injury. So,
which means he was probably injured before. He shouldn't have even.
No, he got injured. Rudiger basically took him down.
Yeah,
Rudiger did pull Rudiger.
And at what point in the game was that? And where do you have that tattoo?
Yeah, I think it was just he didn't. I don't think he even carried maybe a minute or so.
Yeah, right.
In fact, the biggest thing at that point, up until that point, was Thiago Silva had to get subbed up very early on, I think in the 20th minute or so, due to an injury. So it was more that we were that was being talked about. But yeah, I mean, I was you kind of had to feel for De Bruyne, right? Like 2 Champions League finals, and he's gotten subbed up. And this was very early on. This is like the 30th minute or something this time. And
Was it in the first half? I think it was in the second.
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah,
think it was
second
in the
half.
first half. Yeah, it was in the
First
first
half, right? Yeah, and you could tell. Sorry, you could tell it meant a lot to the team, just the way Haaland walked him off, and Haaland was almost like, "Shit, we're not going to win this." Like he had that look on his face, and but people would say John Stones definitely had a good game. I don't even know why he was subbed out. Like he was the only one playing. Like he was that in that team that played against Real Madrid. Like still on full form. Like better than the praise that he was getting. But I got to give props to Gundogan. I think he was the first person, even though he might have to like make that extra effort to penetrate the Inter defense and kind of push them back towards their goal line. And then I think it's from that series of play that this goal came from. And then Foden did something extra. And then Akanji did something extra. And then right before that, Bernardo Silva had done a little something extra. And then on this play, he did something extra where he made that run. And then he tried to cross it back. And then goddamn Rodri, who has been golfing balls in holes, like holding one in it, like a lot this season. With like just special. There's a lot of special people on this team. And there's like, and I'm going to ask Lee this, is like, I'll never coach a team, but I always wonder if I was going to coach a team, and I just imagine the team that I would coach, the budget would be low, so I wouldn't be able to afford the best players. So I'd be like, how do I make, and I ask this question, like, how would I make these people better? You know, like what exactly specifically is Arteta doing? Like I've asked, what is Pep doing to make these already good players better? Because that's what coaches should be doing to their just average players. You know what I'm saying? And and I think there's exercises, rondos. Like the whole game was like a Champions League rondo, and that touch that Rodri displayed for that goal is like the touch you practice in a rondo. You know what I mean? To get a ball through around some players so that you're not the guy that ends up in the middle. It's almost like the hardest perfect pass, but as a shot, you know, like, you know, to get the ball between like 2 defenders and the goalpost, which Rodri put the ball in the back of the net. But, you know, it wasn't City's best game, and that's credit that to Inter. Like they definitely came out there to disrupt them. They came out there, Inzaghi gave them the right mentality. They're physical, they're tough, and they have the technical ability, and they have elements of danger like Lautaro Martinez and Lukaku. And Lukaku should have actually gone on earlier. Dzeko did the team a favor by getting injured and sitting down and saying, hey, bring Lukaku on. And that should have happened. If that had happened, say halftime, Lukaku might have warmed up enough to have enough misses to get like something on target. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you need to warm up and make some fumbles. But he was passing with his head, and he was a good point person up front with his back to the goal. Like when he did go on, better than Dzeko was doing. So even though somebody took a shot on his foot and then they're blaming him for blocking the goal, he wasn't blocking a goal. The person just headed it on him. You know, and then there was the one where he headed it, and hey, it wasn't the greatest header, but it wasn't the worst header. And you got to give the Man City goalkeeper props for just being always in the right position to save stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because if he's not in the right position, Lukaku ties the game up, and who knows what happens. But I just want to give props to John Stones for like, and listen, I'm not supposed to like Man City, but I live in America, so it's different when you're out here. And I like the fact that Man City has a lot of English players, like a significant cast of English players. So this is not some title won by a complete foreign team. Like Kyle Walker was in there, Stones is in there, and
Foden.
Grealish, and Foden. And then, you know, you have the young Rico, what's his name?
Rico Lewis.
Rico Lewis,
yeah.
he didn't play, but that motherfucker is press resistant, water fucking proof when he's on the pitch. And then there's some other little young English dudes around there. So Pep is good for English football. So, you know, I hear the way some pundits look at it, like I'm listening to Cundy and them, and their show is fun because any Manchester United fan that called in to congratulate them said, "What are you calling for? What are you calling for? I don't understand. This is your day off." It's like, you know, they're just winding people up and saying that they would never root for an English team because it's English. But I think they're wrong. I think a reason why the Premier League is such a prominent league is because all the things that Manchester United won. When Manchester United fell off, Liverpool and Chelsea propped that shit back up and won some stuff. It makes Pep and all these great coaches and all these great players want to come there because they like, this is an opportunity to win the Champions League, which is a coveted club competition. And if you don't have the clubs, like nobody's dying to go to Norway to win the Champions League because they haven't won it. You know what I'm saying? So I think, like, even if it's not your team, if a team from your country wins, it helps your league. And it, you know, and everybody goes there who's good and they all want to go there and like compete in that league, and it makes it a better league, and it continues to like add wood to the fire. But that's my thoughts on the game. I cut you off a little bit, Neil, so you could do yours and tell me what you think.
No, I mean, yeah, he did change a few things up, but if you actually see the way John Stones has been used since the, I think, second half of the season, he actually has been more of a midfielder than a centre back. So, and what he has done is kind of the whole fullbacks of providing width thing. He's been Pep has kind of been okay to sacrifice that because he knows he has so much strength in his wingers who can offer the width. He doesn't need that many overlapping runs from fullbacks. And yeah, I think that pretty much changed not just this game. That changed pretty much City's trajectory throughout the season. You know, the comeback they made in the league, they're far behind Arsenal on points, and you know their cup runs and Champions League. Like, he's been making these subtle changes, and of course he's made them in the past. Some haven't come off, and he gets so much criticism for it. But you know, sometimes you need to get lucky. They needed to get this monkey off their back, right? They needed to win this Champions League final, even though I think, like, if you really see the game, this could have been again one of those games where you look back and see, oh, you know, Pep tried too much and they didn't win, because Inter had a lot of chances to win the game themselves. But the fact that the goal that because when I looked at the team sheet, I'm like, well, Pep is trying to make sure that he knows they are the outright favorite, right? And they are going to get 60-70% of the ball. So why not absolutely make the most of that advantage by putting in enough players on your lineup who will, fill up spots in the final third. And if you see the goal that actually happened, there were so many. That was one of the examples of this strategy. There were so many City players, in the final third, that the Inter Milan players were all over the place trying to cover each one of them, and left a huge gap for Rodri to come in and essentially have a straight line to goal. So I don't think that strategy necessarily worked throughout the game, because the drawback to the strategy is you can leave a lot of holes yourself. And Inter Milan did, like with Onana's passing, did get through a lot of the, find it very easy to cut through City a lot of times. But the goal that actually happened came due to that strategy by City. So you can say, it worked, but it very easily could not have either. Like City actually entered the game with less than 1 XG, and Inter was, I think, at 2.09. So that's something nobody expected in the Champions League final.
And Pep was saying that is like, they won, but if they didn't win the same way, the critics would say exactly what you're saying. So it's like that. It's the Champions League, and football is weird in the Champions League. So he's basically clapping back at everybody from the Chelsea game, Champions League final, and just anytime they didn't get through. And it's like he's saying, "Hey guys, I'm the same guy doing the same job, and I'm a good coach. And sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And you can't blame me for something I did, for a change I made, and when it doesn't work, because sometimes even if I didn't make that change, I might not have gotten the result might have been the same, and I might have lost. So it's like, just chill. This is football, and you should know it. Lee, do you think this is a better team than '99 United? Just say no, bro.
I mean, the '99 team was definitely more financially legit than this one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I know that much. But you know, I've got a fondness for that period of football because I was young. It was exciting that there was that classic team. I'm a goalkeeper as well, and I like Schmeichel was one of my idols as a kid growing up because he was like the goalkeeper. So it was nice seeing him win a Champions League, and just that United team was so exciting because it had so much like young English talent in it as well. Obviously talking about the City team, but that United team had so many players who just went on to have long, great careers as well. Some of them were a little bit older at the time, some were a little bit younger. Obviously like Sheringham was a bit older, but then you had all the guys who came through the academy in there as well, the class of '92 and whatnot. So it was, and the way that game just unfolded was pretty magical as well. With the turnaround late on with those 2 goals, but pound for pound, that team, I think it's hard to compare teams from different eras. Like obviously this City team is just, it's, mad technical. They've got a real like blend of players that work for that style, and Haaland's given them a new dimension. But that United team was just classic though, in terms of the balance it had. You had like Giggs who could just destroy people down the left. You had Beckham who could whip those balls in from the right. You had Keane in the midfield who was just, nothing got past him. Then you had Scholes in there who could just ball out.
And
Cole and York that season were unreal as well. And you still had Solskjaer and Sheringham on the
And also I'm going to ask you another question after, but just to, Keane and Scholes didn't play in the finals. And I feel like
suspended.
They're suspended. So I feel like, let's talk who had the easiest route. And there's some irony in the routes, because a part of Man City's route went through the current treble holders up until that point. So then they had a chance to stop it. But who had the toughest route? So if you go like, who was challenging
United had Barca and Juve, I think, in their route through, or I think they had Barca in the group stage maybe.
And I'm also talking about an FA Cup too, and also who was challenging United like in the Premier League to win.
So about the Premier League, because that was the first season I actually remember.
Oh, right.
Keeping in touch, because I started watching football '96 Euros, but in my mind, football was just just because cricket was this first sport I followed, and cricket is all country to country, right? So I just assume football is the same, like you follow country to country, and then the Euros finished, and there was nothing to watch. And so then I later on realized, actually it's club football where it's all at. So then you start like friends start picking teams, and I was always a little bit of a contrarian. Like everybody's going Sampras, I would go Agassi. Everybody's going Steffi Graf, I would go Monica Seles. So for me, that era was so when I went for Chelsea because of the French players in the '98 World Cup team.
Oh, okay.
So this was the first season where we didn't have a whole lot of coverage. But following them through the one-odd games that we would get and through newspapers and stuff, Chelsea was actually doing quite a good job till about January, February. Like near the top of the league. And
who was on that team?
it was that, the Zola, Leboeuf, all of those
Right.
guys. And there was this Italian player who significance I didn't really understand at the time, but I've later on seen interviews of Giancarlo Zola saying that if that guy hadn't gotten injured,
Mhm.
he's absolutely adamant that they would have won the league that season. Because
Oh,
we
yeah?
were like, I think we had lost one game till February or something like that. So, and eventually, if you see, I think United won 2 points behind were Arsenal, and then 1 point behind that was Chelsea. So it was a very hard fought league. Even it wasn't one of those years where United just walked the
Right.
league by a whole bunch of points. So when you talk about you're trying to win a treble, so you have challenges pretty much on all fronts. United actually did go through that, and it wasn't a done deal till the very end in any of those.
All right, so we settled the Premier League. So United had a tougher route in the Premier League than Man City this season. What about in the FA Cup?
I'm not sure about the FA Cup, but Champions League, I'm just having a look at it
Mhm.
right now.
All right.
They had Bayern and Barca in their group, United, in 99. So they had
In
to
the group,
get past.
and then in the finals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously Bayern got all the way to the final as well. So and their knockout games were against Inter and Juve. So Inter in the quarterfinals, Juve semi-finals, and that was when both those teams were strong as well.
Right.
Like that was a classic Juve team, and then Bayern in the final.
So basically, United had 5 tough opponents, right? 5
Yeah, because
legit.
Brøndby were the other team in their group who,
Right.
I mean, as soon as they got drawn in that group, they must have shit themselves when they got Man United, Bayern, and Barca in their group.
So I wonder what sort of, because you barely see more than 2 tough teams in the same league these days. So probably so they had like 5 legit top quality opponents throughout their run, right? Bayern twice, Inter, Juve, and Barca.
Yeah.
And Man City had Madrid. They had PSG. Oh no, they had Bayern. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, they did do Bayern, a good Bayern team, but a Bayern team that kind of was in turmoil because they made the last minute firing and hiring, hired Tuchel, fired Nagelsmann. So it's like, it wasn't like firing on all cylinders.
Who did they have in their group stage?
City had Dortmund, Sevilla, Copenhagen.
Okay, so nobody.
So weirdly, though,
nothing compared to the names you just named.
It's interesting though, because Man United's group in '99, they had 1 German team, 1 Spanish team, 1 Danish team, and City in this one had 1 German team, 1 Spanish team, 1 Danish team.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's crazy.
So that's kind of weird that they played opponents from the same country for those group games. But yeah, Dortmund, Sevilla, and Copenhagen. Like Dortmund, obviously, they rallied second half of the season and challenged Bayern a little bit, but there wasn't a classic Dortmund team. Sevilla was struggling first half of the season in the league, and that was under the previous manager. And Copenhagen were just, I think, happy to be there.
Copenhagen was just Copenhagen. They were the Grimsby of that league.
Yeah. And we're also trying to like split hairs here, right? Like, of course, Dortmund is a good team. And,
no, we're not trying to split hairs. I think we're making facts.
Yeah. But like, we are also trying to like, this determination that we are making is the criteria is very, very harsh. Like the bar is very high. We're talking about those Italian teams from the late 90s. We're talking about the Bayern team, that Barcelona team. So yeah, you got 5. I think City, I don't even consider Inter to be a top team at that level right now, the Inter team that they faced yesterday. So, you win 5-2.
And they beat an old-ass Real Madrid team where their leading scorer just went to Saudi Arabia because he's old. And he's like, I better get this money now.
No, I think City had a really tough
and they beat a Sevilla who coach got fired probably, and they got bumped down to the Europa League. Like, that's how that was a severe turmoil. Like, Lee mentioned. I'm like, I don't care.
All
They
right,
won the
Ian,
treble.
you win. I think that
Thank you.
the data is that you win 5-2.
Yes, yes.
But let's just remember
Watch it, Lee.
that this wouldn't even be an argument if Nathan Jones hadn't knocked City out of the Carabao Cup.
Oh yeah, because you'd had the quadruple then.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
they would have had the quadruple, and there wouldn't even be an argument because then it's like they're the only ones. So
Oh my god! So Nathan Jones saved us all, basically.
yeah, he's a history maker. I've said it before.
Oh,
He's he had a lot of flaws,
that's crazy.
but the one thing he did do, the one good game he had in charge of us, happened to be against one of the best teams of all time. So
or probably the worst thing he did, because now Pep has motivation to do something else. Like I probably think he got the treble. If he had got the quadruple, he could probably have put in his papers.
He might have quit.
Yeah,
he might have quit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that is a serious point. Like that's a serious joke. Like Nathan Jones' place has a huge place in football history, but nobody will ever notice it. You notice it because you're a Southampton fan.
Yeah,
it's a great joke.
It'd be a trivia question.
Yeah, he could tell his
20
kids
years
this,
down the line.
and they would laugh at him. But it's a fair ass point, bro. To be honest, it's hilarious. But I respect Nathan Jones now, even if you don't.
Yeah.
Oh.
But what I did like about the go ahead.
As I say, it was just a fascinating game to watch. I think, like, going back to the game itself, just watching a team in a final press Man City as well, because not many teams have the guts to do that. A lot of teams will just try and batten down the hatches, park the bus, see if they can pinch something on the counter. I mean, obviously City are going to dominate against almost any opponent, but I thought it was a really sort of bold stance from Inter to go, no, this is how we're going to play today. And they almost caught them out a couple of times when the passing got slack as well.
But you know what they said about that? And this is before the game. Like the teams that have beat Man City this year play two forwards up front, which is what Inter does. And it was Brentford and I think Brighton Hove. So and it's teams that did press, and that and Inter went out there to win the battle of the midfield, which you have to do against a Man City team. They would put 5 in there, and then Man City has like 4 or 5 in theirs, and that's where they kind of beat teams up and go through the middle of teams. So they match them in the middle, and then also some of those midfielders can drop back and help defensively. They can have 5 at the back and they can go from 5 at the back to 5 in midfield on Inter, if my numbers are right. But so they have all the numbers in the right places.
I thought that was one of the really special goalkeeping performances by Onana, though, because the difference in level and quality between Inter and City, Onana on his own pretty much bridged that gap a lot because of the way he was setting up. It wasn't just you think of like playing out of the back, but he was even using the long ball to such good effect. So I mean, City could have actually got a few goals. Inter could have got a few goals that way, but and if they did, everybody today would have been talking about just Onana, but obviously he can't score then. But I think that was a truly special performance by him.
This is a good question for you. Go ahead.
As I said, there's a big save as well from there was that lovely move when the pass came into Foden and he pulled off that really quick sort of half turn to then just drive into the box, and then Onana made a decent save there. I think Foden could have done a little bit better with the finish, but that was a big moment.
Yeah,
a good stop from Haaland too, with his left hand.
What do you mean?
Early on, Haaland got a shot off, and Onana, he's there.
He was strong.
Oh yeah.
Strong.
He was in the right position.
There was power behind that.
Yeah. He was in the right position. It was like the only shot. Haaland got a shot like that earlier off, but it was offside, and then he got that one off. Like one was the dress rehearsal for the offside, and then this was the actual. But Onana saved it. And there wasn't a lot of room, and with the pace that De Bruyne got that ball in there, that Haaland had to get on it, and the angle wasn't the best. So here's the question now. Neil, do you want Lukaku back?
I thought you were going to ask, do you want Onana? And I was going to say yes. I mean, do you want Lukaku back? It's not like, it's in our hands. If we can't find another team, he is our player. So almost by default, unless we are willing to, go the scorched earth policy and just have.
But are you going to accept him? Are you going to accept him?
No,
Should I change the question?
Hell no.
Why
I
not?
already told you what's the criteria to accept him. You got to be in the golden boot running game week 1, game week 2, game week 3, game week 4, all the way up to game week 38.
He will be though.
Yeah, then we will accept him.
Yeah. I mean, listen. So what would have happened, right, if he'd have scored the winning goal yesterday? Like, how would you guys see it? For United fans, right? Lukaku left us, and most fans hate him, right? But if he'd have scored and stopped Man City from winning the treble, a lot of Man United, like Lukaku.
Oh, I was supporting him last night. Yeah. I was in his corner.
Are there a lot of players like Lukaku where you could hate him for the right reasons and love him for the wrong reasons? You know what I mean? Like United fans would love him if he scored and Inter won because he stopped City from getting the treble. But when he was with us, he didn't do enough, and we had to get rid of him. You know what I mean? But there's like, oh, this is like intergalactic chess being played by the universe to stop ultimately. So he was never going to play good for us because he had to go to Inter to stop City, but he didn't. So now we are. But if he'd have won, would you wanted him? That Champions League winner that said what he said, had that interview, which I think y'all should just get over. He just wanted to show Inter some love.
No, because I told you, remember when we were talking about it back when it happened, I was fine with it. It's just that this dude doesn't stop. That's not the only interview he's given. He's kept taking stray shots at the club. So, why bother? And
don't need to stop reading those interviews.
Yeah, and it's not like we haven't seen Lukaku come to Chelsea on the back of being absolutely amazing at a club. We've seen that, and that hasn't helped us. So even if he did get the Champions League equalizer or the winner, it wouldn't have changed anything. You still need to come here and get yourself out of the huge hole that you've dug for yourself. So, I don't think that would have changed anything.
Fair enough.
I think Lukaku, what he really wants to do is to go play in the MLS.
Hilarious.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think because he's dating Megan Thee Stallion as well right now.
Is this official though? Is this official?
Yeah, they were at Lautaro Martinez's wedding together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Up in Lake Como. But I think he's always in like LA or like Miami every off season. He's in America. So I think I could see him signing for like LAFC or Galaxy or someone. And
oh god, he's gonna be he's gonna be the marquee player for the new San Diego team in 2025, and I'm gonna have to support him. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to bring out my Lukaku jersey.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But yeah, I mean, I could see him doing that within the next like year or two, quite easily. Like someone will push the boat out for him as a DP, and like that because he'll cost a lot of money. That's the thing. Like it's got to be a club that can afford him as a DP. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that happens. But I could see it. And I think that's the thing for a lot of players, is that a lot of them like just view it as a destination, like it's a lifestyle move. The league is improving, I think, which helps, and it's bigger than ever, which helps, and the quality is just, it's better than it's ever been. So I think it's just becoming a more and more viable option for players.
And then one of you guys speaking of like the league getting better and bigger, one of you guys put in the chat that all the games for Messi that Inter Miami is going to play against any team in the league has been sold out. And I think Lee was the one that suggested. So correct me if that's like he's playing. Messi's going to be playing in an 18,000 seat stadium, and it's like more people than that, probably double or triple, would love to see him every game. So, do you think there's going to be like a lot of construction going on in the MLS, all over the MLS between now and July? Or are they just going to leave it like this? Or we're seeing the impact of Messi coming to the MLS already. Like all the tickets for any game that he's going to play with Inter Miami versus anybody, all the tickets for all those teams have sold out.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, obviously, it just shows the pull that he's got, and I think everyone just wants a chance to say they've seen him play, which I don't blame them, because he's one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever. So it doesn't surprise me. But like I say, I mean, I said it on the last podcast that it was a travesty that he was going to go play in a temporary 18,000 seater stadium. Like I don't know if there's got to be a bigger stadium somewhere in Florida, because they're playing in Fort Lauderdale right now. They're not even in Miami. There's got to be a bigger stadium somewhere that can be used for football.
Imagine Messi. There is, but then you're going to see Messi, right, playing on a pitch with a baseball diamond or American football lines on it. And if you think playing in a 20,000 seat temporary stadium is a bad look for Messi, wait till you see like American football lines or a baseball diamond.
But they are building a stadium, right? A new stadium in downtown.
There's something is being built, I think, but I don't think it'll be ready for a while.
Okay.
They could put a grass field in the Hard Rock Stadium where the Dolphins play.
Yeah, but then the Dolphins, I think it's pre-season, like that season. So American football is going to start probably like August, September, or something like that, and then the MLS I think goes to November. So it's like you're going to have the football lines. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I reckon they could put like a different field down, because I think it's artificial turf. The NFL pitch. I don't know. They had a Formula One track in there the other day when they had the Miami Grand Prix. Part of the circuit was like in the stadium, or like by the stadium, because my sister was working there. She works in Formula One, and they had like all the setup, the technical setup, like the paddock was in the stadium, I think.
Wait, so it's just crazy that, like, we're all talking about it. Obviously, we're on Lucas, right? But we're talking like it's a problem that. So did nobody in the Inter Miami organization realize that this is what's going to happen once you sign Messi? That 18,000 is not going to be enough. So,
this is just like air. Like they didn't think they was going to get him.
Probably.
We just like, at least let us get the meeting. Let's get the meeting. And then the meeting went so well, they're like, oh shit, we might land him.
This actually happened.
We actually got to make that shoe. That designer's like, holy shit. I was just scribbling stuff.
Yeah. Like in the air, they only had one sneaker. They only made one. 1 foot. It wasn't even a full pair. So now we need we need a real stadium.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty bananas. Anything you guys want to like wrap up like with this season, or any transfers or anything going on?
My team's getting a manager this week.
Who is it going to be?
Russell Martin from Swansea. It's been known for a little while, but there's been a load of like haggling over compensation and backroom staff and things. So it's apparently happening this week, which would be good because it means the process can start of finding out who he wants to bring in player wise. And I hope any players that want to leave, we can just get them out quickly. Obviously, we want to get the best price for them, but I think there's going to be so much turnover. I'm interested to see where Ward-Prowse goes, because I want the best for him. So hopefully that doesn't mean Spurs, because it would hurt seeing him in a Spurs shirt.
Kane
But,
won't even let him
yeah.
take the free kicks, so he shouldn't go there.
I mean, he should, because Ward-Prowse is better. But yeah, I mean, hopefully he goes somewhere if he does go somewhere good. There was a rumor that we were asking for 52 million for him, though, which is, I don't know if that's our way of trying to keep him by pricing him out of a move, because he's got quite a bit left on his contract, so we can ask for that. I think we're more likely to get somewhere around 30 million for him.
I think we should ask for a high price, because, I mean, if he stays, you need him to stay, right?
I mean, it'd be nice if he did, but I mean, he's been with us for so long that I wouldn't be mad at him moving. Like, he's given us so much service.
Why? Well, like, this is survival. You need him for this one season. You can like have your nostalgia and ethics next season, but this season you just need him.
Yeah, I mean, we do need him, but like I said, if he went, I wouldn't be mad at him. Like, I get it if he wants to leave. He's given us so much. He was one of the few players this season who was working hard, like, consistently and putting in consistent performances. And I think he was our top scorer from centre midfield, that tells you all you need to know about our forwards. So yeah, I mean, if he wants to stay in the Premier League, I wouldn't begrudge him that. If he wants to move to a bigger club and try and stake more of a claim in the England squad, because he would occasionally get in there with us, but he was never a consistent member of that squad. So if that can help him elevate to that level, maybe. But yeah, there's a lot of turnover, I think, coming though. There's a lot of players who will want to move. There's a lot of players who will want to move out the club as well, and some signings too. So yeah, it'll be a busy summer. Interested to see where Lavia goes as well, because I think he has the potential to be a great player, such a great player. Like, he did well with us in a struggling team as a teenager, playing his first full season in the Premier League. Like, he was so press resistant. He was so calm on the ball. He's a different level, and I think wherever he goes, he'll need to play, because I don't think it'll be bad for him if he goes somewhere where he'll be on the bench most weeks and playing here or there. But it's a big ask for a top Premier League team to take a 19, 20-year-old and play them every week. But he's good enough. He is good enough. So yeah, we'll see where that one ends up. But yeah, it's going to be a busy time for us.
I
hope
just
United get him, but I don't know if they'll let him if he play a lot. But let me 1 second there. I just want to ask Lee, why this guy? Like, how did Swansea do last year, and what league were they in, and what's the style of play that they had to compensate, like, to get him from Swansea to?
They finished just outside the playoffs. They went 9 games unbeaten at the end of the season. They almost crept into the playoffs, but he was working with a really small budget at Swansea, and he still managed to get, like, they were second to Burnley in all of the passing stats. So possession, forward passes, progressive passes, like everything. They were second only to Burnley. So it's a real like possession-based style of football, because they're trying to move us away. Because under Sellers and Hasenhüttl, we were a very chaotic, like, pressing team and playing forwards like really quickly. Under Jones, we were a bit more long ball. But they want to go to a sort of more possession-based style, because it's such a long league as well. Like, you can't press for 40-something games, plus cup games as well. So yeah, it'll be a more possession-based style. I mean, I think I pointed out before that, like, the last 2 managers for Swansea before him were Cooper and Potter, and they've done pretty well for the most part since they left Swansea. So Swansea seems to be a good place to go to get managers. All right. And yeah, I mean, if it's a nice style of football as well to watch, hopefully it gets results. Like I say, he's a little bit unproven in that he's not really done much as a manager in terms of winning things and achievements, but he's been highly rated in terms of his man management and style of football. So it's a risk, probably one of the better options we could get though. I'd rather that than, some tired old name from the managerial merry-go-round who's going to maybe not play the best football. Like
Leeds with Gerrard? Gerrard gets lumped in with Lampard, and Gerrard did win the Scottish league. So what were you gonna say, Neil? Sorry.
Ian, you're gonna like him because he's apparently vegan and owner of a large vegan restaurant.
What, their coach?
Yeah, this Russell Martin guy. I was just looking him up. Yeah,
Yeah.
But he's only been he's like 37, and he's only been a manager for 3 years. So
yeah, he's young. He played for Norwich when they were like a yo-yo team. He was a fullback for Norwich. But then he managed MK Dons initially, was really highly rated there, and then jumped over to Swansea for a couple of seasons.
So he knows the championship. He got some championship experience. So I think Ward Prowse could end up as a replacement for Declan Rice if he leaves West Ham. So that's one of the rumors that I did hear. Yeah. So I heard that. Neil, you got anything you want to?
No, I think so. In terms of transfer news, I was just going to make a point that so about Lavia, right? Apparently, Chelsea and Liverpool are both in for him, and I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea go for him because that's the one position we need, and looks like our main targets in those positions like Declan Rice, Casero, Ugarte, they're all like either priced out or going somewhere else. So I won't be surprised if we go in for Lavia. And one major transfer, I think the only major transfer that's happened so far is McAllister to Liverpool, right? That's official. He's been announced as the signing. I think that's a good move by Liverpool. Yeah, 35 million.
Yeah, man. What's McAllister's like position? Like when I see at Brighton, I see them raving about him, but I hardly see him on the pitch doing anything. But I guess he's doing something because they're talking about him. So it's like, and in the World Cup, I know he scored some goals, but I don't think he's in that much of an advanced position for Brighton Hove. So what's his spot?
He's more of a box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah, he's like an 8.
Yeah.
An 8? All right. Okay. Which explains why I don't see him sometimes, but he is doing something.
Yeah, I think he'll be good for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, when you're looking at an 8, sometimes you need like an appraisal, like eye thing that those jewelers use when you're looking at 8s to see like how effective and expensive they really should be like during a game. Because it's that just type of that position. I don't know, like it's been a good season, decent season for Man U. It's like it's up to Sale and the Sheikh put in an extra bid, a 5th final bid, like on the end of last weekend. So we'll see. I think we hear like this week the Glazers will decide, but who knows if they will. So our next season is based on how quick we get to sell and how quick we get to jump in the transfer market after they dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and what we can afford based on FFP. So, one of the teams that might drop out of the top 4 from this season, next season might be us, based on, this. I also think West Ham is going to have a lot of trouble next season because they're in the Europa League and it's tougher than the Conference League. And if they lose Declan Rice and don't replace him, and everybody knows how to play Moyes, and they don't have any squad depth, so I expect West Ham to like have a tough season next year.
And they can't fire him. Not now.
I mean, I'm glad he won. So I like to see like the fans who want him out in West Ham in this position. Any last words from anybody to wrap this up?
No, I was just saying it's pretty good season, quality of football wise. We had an actual title race in the Premier League. We had, tough fights for top 4, top 6. The relegation was hotly contested too. The Champions League, again, it delivered. There's some great matchups. And we got to fit in a World Cup in between. The Queen died. It's all happening. It's crazy.
Hilarious. For me, thanks everybody for watching and listening. We're going to be back close to when should we be back? What month? After when does the season start?
Season starts sort of mid-August time, so transfers will be ramping up like late July, mid-late July. Friendlies will be happening.
I guess we'll get back in there like the beginning of August. Yeah. And then we're gonna watch some matches, like the United and some other teams are coming here. There's gonna be another game at the Rose Bowl, but I ain't going to that after what happened the last time. Like it
set off now.
Exactly. 3 hours to get to the Rose Bowl, and I live half an hour from there. That shit was crazy. Goals already scored by the time I get in my seat. Fuck that. So I'm not trying that shit. But I'm gonna go to United in San Diego and United.
You got to do a review after you've seen that game, the San Diego game.
Yeah. When is that game? We should jump on after that and talk.
July 25th, I think.
Yeah, so do a random. Yeah, I'm gonna. After this, I should get online and try to get tickets again for. I tried before for the United in Vegas. Last time I tried, they told my phone it was a bot, and they refused to let me buy any tickets. So I got to try it on my iPad.
The bot told you you're a bot.
Yeah, exactly. Takes one to know one. Apparently. If I'd have known this phone was a bot, I would have been doing shit with it.
We got the Women's World Cup at the end of July as well.
Oh yeah, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
It's a joint Australia-New Zealand.
That's cool.
Hosting as well. So
probably the first.
That'll be 20th of July, first game.
Probably the first senior level tournament in being hosted in Australia. Or did they host like a Club World Cup back in the day? Or like Confederation?
I think they've had some of that there, and they had obviously the Olympics there, which had the football part as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this will be pretty big for them, and they got a strong team on home soil. Obviously, USA are always favourites. It'll be interesting to see how England do, because obviously England, the last time there was a Women's World Cup, they had Phil Neville in charge, which meant shit didn't do that well.
Here we go. The weekly Phil Neville.
He got offered a job on the Canada's team, right?
Yeah.
He's an assistant coach either on the Canada females team or Canada male team, but he's working already.
It's, I mean, hopefully it's not the men's team, because one of my friends is the assistant manager for them. Although the manager of the women's team, the Canadian women's team, was his assistant when he was the England manager.
So then I think he got a job on the Canadian.
Imagine losing your job to Phil Neville. That's tough to take.
Let me let's have a look. Is it men's or women's? Let's have a look. Canadian men's national team. Like, why?
Oh boy.
Okay, so yeah, he's working. He's back in the game, baby.
Oh, poor Canada. They deserve better than that. That's yeah.
Oh yeah. Also, there's some international games. Like I heard them talking about about the CONCACAF Nations League games. And then so England's going to be playing soon, like in a few weeks.
England got 2 games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're just friendlies though. I'm not 100% sure, but
for America, it's CONCACAF, but England might have friendlies. I think is England qualified already, right? For the Euros, I think.
So wait, is there like a Nations League this time?
It depends. Like some teams have friendlies, and some teams are in the Nations League based on like what they did and what their schedule was. So I don't know. I think they made it more confusing for sure. If they did anything, that's what they did.
Yeah, the Gold Cup's coming up soon. So USA Jamaica is on the 25th of June. Well, it'll be 24th. It'll be the Saturday for you guys. Soldier Field in Chicago.
They always play those games in the Midwest.
That's because they know Jamaica don't want to play in the Midwest. Although it won't be winter, so it'll be Maybe a little bit easier for them. But yeah, Soldier Field on the Saturday, the 24th of June. So that'd be a good game.
So it looks like the Nations League is just the semi-final stage, and obviously the final. So Netherlands play Croatia on June 14th, and Spain, Italy on June 15th. So
just 2 games.
Yeah, semi-finals, and then obviously the final.
Well, yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody that watched and listened over the season. It's been a fun season. Everybody participated in and whooped my ass in fantasy league. Congratulations. My team sucked. Jesus. I want to thank you too, and also Martin. It's been a fun season. We'll continue to kick it in the chat, and we'll go check out some of these games. Is Chelsea coming to America?
Yeah, but it looks like they've learned from their lessons from last time, where they basically went to 8 different cities and did a whole bunch of traveling and totally screwed up the preseason preparation. This time they're coming to, I want to say Charlotte, and they're like staying in the East Coast. And what's happening is, for the first time ever, they're playing what they call, was being billed as a Premier League tournament. So it's Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, and the 4th team, I want to say Fulham. But so basically they're going to play a quadrangular tournament between these 4 teams.
They did that before, but in Asia they used to do that. The little mini Premier League tournaments.
Yeah, that's the one that Hurricane won, right?
Hilarious. United hasn't learned, because they're going to be playing in New York from what I hear, and I know they're going to be playing on the West Coast. And I know they're going to Dublin too, and it's somewhere else before even they come to America. So United is going to be spread thin all over the place, not just going from everywhere in America, but different places. So
it's those 3 teams plus Fulham, Brentford, Aston Villa. So it's 6 teams actually.
America's team, Fulham.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's games are in Philly, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Orlando, New Jersey, and Maryland.
Well, we'll be monitoring all those. I know I'm gonna watch that and stuff. Well, all right, guys, and all right, everybody watching, listening. Thank you again, and we'll be back. But great season, a lot of fun. You know, Haaland came in. We wondered what he would do, and he let us know. Jack Grealish, 2 years ago, was playing for relegation Villa, and now he's a treble winner, and he's a 2-time Premier League champ. So that's kind of amazing to see yesterday. 5 or 6 years ago, Kyle Walker left Spurs and became one of the best right backs in the world, and he's a treble winner, multiple Premier League winner, and just like a lot of stories. And if Inter had won, there'd be like 4 or 3 ex-Man United players that could have been Champions League winners, like Darmian, Mkhitaryan, Lukaku, and I think there's somebody else, but I can't remember, like ex-Man United players that could have like done some hero shit on behalf of Man United as they played for somebody else. And Pep, like, he's one of the greatest of all times. I'm not going to say he's the greatest yet, but he definitely revolutionized football, but somebody had to revolutionize it before him for him to revolutionize what they did. So you can't, it's technology. It's like you have to have the first iPhone before, which was like a cutting edge technology at the time for somebody to make the iPhone 13 or however you guys say it. I don't have the iPhone. So it's like you can't act like Pep invented football just because of what he's doing now, which is what most of the media is acting like. It's like, yeah, he improved upon what was improved upon before him. And so there's a lot of good stories. Harry Kane scored 30 goals, even though his team stunk. And is he going to like take those 30 goals somewhere else this upcoming season? We don't know. That's going to be something interesting to watch. Where's Declan Rice going to go? Where's Jude Bellingham going to go? What is Man U going to do in all season? How's Pochettino going to fix Chelsea? He's got a lot of moving parts. how Southampton going to do in the championship. That's going to be interesting to like get more news from the championship and see what's going on down there. You know what I'm saying? And football never stops. Even the off season sometimes is more interesting than the season, and the season is already fucking interesting. So the way football has like grown into this living, breathing organism, whether games are being played or not, is pretty amazing. So we'll see. But thank you all. And take care of each other. We love you, and one.
All right, let me get this up.